Good morning. It's 11:11 on the East Coast. I'm George Hudson, and joined with me is Robbie Colbreth. We got a great episode for you guys today. The system is designed to fail. Robbie, how's it going this morning?
Man, everything is wonderful, man. I can't complain. I'm alive. I'm right side up, and I'm excited about getting at this topic, man. I think it's going to be amazing, absolutely amazing. So let's just have at it. The system is designed to fail. Years ago, a good friend of mine, Walt Gaston, his pop, we went there. We played football together out in Kansas, and his dad, very wise man, he told me something. He said, "Think once, listen twice, and have horse sense." And I held on to that thing, man. And it took me a while to understand that and understand, so many layers of meaning that could present. But when I think once, I think about systems, right? And if I listen twice, I listen to what systems do, how they evolve, what they look like. And when I have horse sense, a horse, why it's considered to be horses, horses can sense danger. Horses can sense when there's snakes or something else is dangerous around, and they won't allow themselves to proceed any further, or they will proceed with caution. And so, minimally on one layer of think once, listen twice, and have horse sense, we can pull this out. But where we're going with this, the system is designed to fail. Hey man, I hope you have your thinking cap on, you have your bootstrap, right? And you're ready to dig into some stuff that be slightly controversial. And I'm gonna start it off with this here. And they shall know the truth, and the truth shall set or make them free. When you believe a lie for so long, right? The truth doesn't set you free. You need a godlike impact to shake you loose. The Christ spark was that choice for me, right? Men, up to the time that he came on the scene, they were experiencing all types of things. They were believing all types of things. There were predictions of this and predictions of that, and everybody was looking for this Messiah to come, right? And they were looking for the time. They were looking for events, and they were looking for messaging of sort, right, to find the truth. Many people found themselves bewildered, weakened from their faith. Yet at the right time, Jesus split the matrix, and the matrix was the womb of Mary. The matrix was coming out of a natural life. Hang on for a second. Coming out of a spiritual life into a natural life, right? And in that natural life, being fully God, fully man, he split the matrix. He brought on a different kind of concept. He brought on a different life for all of us to look at, marvel. And from that moment, he changed the game. Miracle signs, wonders, manifestations, miracles, taking things that are scientifically proven and suspending those scientific and natural laws. And he was able to do and accomplish things. Events collided to authenticate who he was, who he is today. But he split the matrix. And when he split the matrix, the truth that was hard to find was now found. So now men, in a desperate attempt to control men, expressing greed and enforcing power, have created an alternate world, a new matrix that's right in our midst. The most incredible brain hack of all time. We're in the middle of it right now. There's a new matrix that has already been forced on us, but it feels good. It's the world of AI, where men are being swiftly guided, enslaved into this binary coding, made to bow down at every notification to this AI God and social media messengers. They have their prophets, their doctors, their teachers, their preachers, and it's convincing everybody of the ease of usage, the surrender of your soul power, the accepting of marks, which is coming down the line, and the surrender of your soul dust, that factory where you have the creative ability with all the resources of the faculty of your being to create and to do other things to bring about manifestation and truth for your own life. Even truth, reasoning outside of the structure of this matrix, this carriage is starting to be ignored. This system is designed to fail. George, drop in.
Yeah, I think Christ was the perfect example of breaking the matrix, rewriting the code, doing things that have never been done before. I always love connecting that example because it's just such a great picture of what that looks like. I think we can do that several ways in our own lives. I see the matrix as, like the system that people rely on for success, right? If as a child, I would say the system would be the construct of your parents, right?
Yeah.
So if you're growing up, you're being taught what to do, what to say, how to act, how to think. Generally, it's for the best interests of your health, your wellness, your upbringing, on your parents' behalf. So it's normally a good thing, but at some point we have to come up with a brain that thinks for itself. We have to think critically. We have to develop these skills. We have to, see the world for ourselves and evaluate our skills and see how we plug into it. Right. So with that comes like an unlearning process. Okay. So some of the things we learn from our parents and some of the habits that we learn on how to rely upon them for survival is not going to allow us to elevate to the next step or the next evolution of consciousness or the next level of success or whatever you're striving for, to truly untap, unhinge, tap into that savage will mindset is to develop some of these habits, some of these success patterns, some of these other survival instincts as an individual, not as someone waiting for someone else to make a move to then I'll be successful. Like, right. Like they just haven't allowed me to be successful is something that I haven't got the opportunity to be successful. Like those are the thoughts and words that you hear from people that, make excuses for why they're not where they say they should be. They don't take ownership of where they're at and their learning, their growth, posture, and then the excuses flow in.
George, let me ask you a question, man. A question came in. I wanna pose this question. Listen, all of you guys that are out there watching, listening right now, taking in, man, take some notes, but also send us some questions. So I have a question. Here's a question that came in. Was our parents' instructions just an early blueprint of how to for infancy? I mean, just to bring us along in the basics and the fundamentals, and that was it. Not to carry us through a whole life scope. Was it just for the infancy blueprint to get us on our feet? Talk to me.
I would say yes. Like we have to rely, like there's nothing that needs more guidance and more reliance than a newborn infant. Like a newborn infant can't survive by itself.
Right.
So it's necessary. It's kind of like public schooling, in my opinion. So there's some really great public schools out there, but a majority of them are not going to teach you how to elevate and step above the masses to achieve lifelong success. It's kind of like a trickle-along effect. We'll bring you through. We'll kind of do the bare minimum until you wake up and realize what you want, find your passions, and grow into that, and then realize where you're going to plug in life, and then develop and craft and hone in on those skills that are going to take you there.
2 key words: wake up. Those are some of my favorite words. And you'll hear me in different platforms, and I'll use those 2 words: wake up. Right? There are some things that have been taught to us over time, and it's good stuff, but it was taught for those blocks of times. Again, like I said in my opening address, Christ split the matrix. So everything that was prophesied about him, everything that was told about him and how he would arrive and all that, when he split the matrix, he fulfilled those things. Now, there was a new thing that was about to happen because there was a structure and there was some information that spoke about how he was going to come. Then there was some other information, data points that spoke about what his life would be about, but nothing that pointed specifically to what his infancy and that stage, what that would look like, but what it would look like from that bar mitzvah time on up into adulthood, on into ministry, on into to the cross, from the cross to the ascension. So those things were spoken of or talked about to some degree. The rest of it was codified so that we can see it, understand it, and grow from it. So the system is designed to fail. So check it out. In a system being designed to fail, there's a good part of that and there's a bad part of that. So we don't want to keep a negative connotation on it. Everything that we got from our parents, everything that we got from parochial school, everything we got at different levels of learning, that stuff was good, but it was good to lay a foundation. And then once that foundation is laid, it is incumbent upon us to grow past that foundation and no longer live in it. Listen, if I live in the controlling things that my parents controlled me by, then I am only going to be able to live as an infant with an infant understanding, because that's what they were doing. They were managing me, managing my behavior. And I'm not saying anything is negative about that, but managing me, managing my behavior because of the things that pressuring in their lives. So they needed me to be quiet at certain times, go to bed at certain times, eat at certain times. But if I stay under that same system of control and allow for people to control me from that perspective, I can never progress and be everything that I'm intended to be. Think once, listen twice, have horse sense. Listen, ignore your assumptions. Don't adjust to your new sleeve. Your new sleeve is your new avatar, that new understanding, that new wisdom. Listen, you got to take the old sleeve of your understanding off. Listen, the foundation that it was built upon is still good. But if you don't remove some of the old sleeve, you're always going to be reincarnating your thoughts, reincarnating your emotions, reincarnating everything about what you believe back to how you were socialized from infancy to young adulthood, and you'll never become that adult. So someone is going to have to come in and hit you with a bomb, have a struggle come into your life where you're going to be challenged by the need to face your outward expression as a young person or as an adult. So some part of the system, it is in fact designed to fail. It is designed to stop. It was designed to get you to a certain place. From that place, you were supposed to open up your mind, open up your understanding, open up your heart, I say, to God, so he can come in so that you can get teachings that will carry you through the rest of your life. So watch this. The outward expression of your inward altered state, reality, hastened by any virtual realities, any type of imprint, any type of engrams that link you to business and humans seamlessly into one ecosystem, which is what we're experiencing right now through AI. This helps to power the world's leading technology brands over your life. You have got to get back to a hack where you allow for your spirit, where you start teaching your soul to reconnect to you as a whole person, to your God, the creator of all things, to the life you choose, the life that's been chosen for you to lead, where you're supposed to succeed. The things you put your hands to, they're not supposed to come to a place of always failure, but they're supposed to come to a place of a struggle so that they can help you identify with the greater you that's on the inside, so it can in fact manifest in the power and in the things that you're going to learn along the way, so that you can get to where you're supposed to be. And where you're supposed to be is actualizing in power, actualizing in understanding, actualizing in wisdom, actualizing in your money, actualizing in your relationships. These are things we're supposed to do. But if we stay in an old imprint, if we stay in an old engram, and that engram, its job is to cause for global information technology, it skillfully intertwining, weaving itself into our mind, becoming the mothering infrastructure with less fathering infrastructure codex, to make enslavement of our minds and our souls over the vast global infrastructure and satellite technology. This is a new system. You'll fall prey to this system if you don't have an idea who you are, where you're going, what it's all about. This thing, it can mess your life up. And I say this before I give it back over to George. This is crazy. Listen, it has provided amazing smart TVs for every home, a super affordable pricing on it. It has seamlessly updated and pushed through all new technology updates. You don't even have to do it. It pushes it through and through the phones. It makes you feel good about scratching out the reality that you don't want to see, the new gimmick that you find in your phones. Things actually happening. You have the power through it to scratch it out like it doesn't exist. All these gimmicks. Listen, you got to check it because this it is the new boob tube, the breast of the beast that everybody is sucking from, with the co-parenting of it and other technologies with countless offsprings. Too many to note. They're robbing you of your creativity. They're causing you to lose your imagination as you binge watch in the lockstep of this technological enslavement. The new thing that's happening right now is this hypercomputing, where they're bathing you into this mood imaging while you're watching whatever you're watching. It's going to be able to sense what you're watching and create these types of things, emoji type things that supposed to represent what you are and who you are. Man, you better recognize it is in control. It is leading you down a dangerous, slippery path. And it can cause you to forget about all of those things that are important to you, important to your soul, important to your actualization if you get lost in it. George.
Yeah, so one of the important things you hit on just at the beginning of that was the system is not necessarily bad. It's just not in place permanently for us to kind of achieve that overall above and beyond success, to grow and evolve to our true nature, to achieve, the things that are above the pack, so to speak. So I kind of just think of the imagery of a young child, like a mother, young child going by the stove, mother yells at he or she to not touch the hot stove. It'd be as if like the child grows up always believing that the stove is bad, never going to touch it, doesn't understand the responsibility and so the beauty behind cooking and the craftsmanship behind making a great meal and hosting individuals. So it's like that's a very simplistic version, but we often, associate that, or that correlates to other things in our life. I think one major one would be like conflict resolution.
Yeah.
If we just avoid conflict our entire lives, we don't see the beauty in developing and growing relationships by working through differences and disagreements and things like that. So there's the obstacle there. We have to learn how to be responsible with things and learn how to grow and develop them, and then have the awareness. You were saying like mother or father trying to tell child when to be quiet, when to speak, when to do all these other things, is we want to get the awareness and develop and grow to know when to do those things, to utilize our voice at the proper time, to be quiet and respectful when we need to be. So it's all about gaining an autonomy and like self-awareness in the world to know how to utilize our skills and how to understand these things, so we can enjoy the beauty of a relationship and work through conflict resolution, because conflict always is going to come. You're not going to have a relationship without conflict. If you don't know how to work through those things and communicate your needs. I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast actually very recently. I liked a lot of the things he has to say. He's got a crazy cool story. He was a monk, and now he has like a podcast that he may do other things, but basically he was talking about, if you don't know how to communicate your wants and needs in a relationship, then you'll never find the relationship that you need, because you're not willing to put yourself out there and find. Because most people think that their needs are too demanding, or the way they communicate, or finding a complementary partner is just too. People are scared to say what they want in that regard. Like it's unfair to ask for a partner that communicates that way.
That is completely 100% on what how the system is designed to fail. Because I'm just going to park right here for a second. I'm going to give it right back to you. Needs, wants, desires, expectations, and then deliverables. These are something that I teach on a regular basis. Needs. What are your absolute needs, right? I was talking to my son last night and was talking about money, right? And breaking money down into certain type of buckets. And inside of those buckets, I was identifying what are needs, right? So we need to save. We need to pay our tithes. We need to save. We need to pay ourselves. And then we have a block of money that's left to take care of business, the business where we should live inside of a certain means. And hopefully there's some extra money left over because increasingly costs are going up, right? But there should be money left over. No, that money that's left over shouldn't be spent money. It could be money that could be repurposed. It could be invested, etc. And so we were talking about that. And we were also then talking about wants. What do you want to do? How do you want your life to scale? What does that look like? And we talked about the giftings that God has blessed him with. And he does art, and he does personal training and all these other things, desires. Now, that's another level. So needs are, this is what we have to have. Wants are, these are what we'd like to have. Desires are, these are those places that drive us, that give us more of a passion. And then expectations. What do we want this to look like? And how do I need to communicate this to other people so they understand where I'm coming from? Because otherwise, they're going to make assumptions about who I am and what I'm all about. And they'll never know who I really am. And that can happen even with people, right? And so if you don't tell people, to George's point, if you don't tell people what's going on, then they won't know who you are. And if they don't really know who you are, because you can't identify your needs, your wants, your desires, your expectations, and then there's not a clear deliverable that they can give to you because you can't identify it. You understand? So you've got to be able to identify your needs. These are absolutes. Your wants. These are things that I would like to have, but they don't necessarily have to be. Desires. This is when it gets more passion. You got passion behind this. This is a driving force. This is an identifier piece. And then expectations. After I've done all these things, how do I stand on these principles? How do I stand on these constructs? Where do I stand, and where do I get additional information so I can build upon these things and make my life better? And then what are the deliverables I expect? And so the deliverables happen like I was sharing with him. 90 days from now, what should your money look like? 6 months from now, what should your money look like? A year from now, what should your money look like? Anticipate the struggle, because the struggle is going to identify just how strong your plan is and just how great the greater part of you is still hidden, and it has to come out. So these are foundational constructs for living. And I wanted to make sure that he got this because of his age and where he's at and what's going on in his life. George, jump back in, baby.
Yeah, so it all starts with yourself, and you have to identify those things that are non-negotiables, is what I call them. And in terms of relationships, one of the things that for a long time I didn't realize was a non-negotiable was health and wellness. Like I take my health like very seriously compared to the average individual. And I, for a long time, didn't realize that I needed that in a partner. Right.
Yeah.
So that's an essential non-negotiable that it bleeds into so many other phases of life. It's not just about what you eat, but it's why you do what you do.
Yeah.
It's not just about not drinking alcohol, but it's about why you don't drink alcohol and not needing it to necessarily have a good time, not needing that reliance. There's probably some middle ground of time to enjoy that, a time and place for that. But generally speaking, not abusing it. So much of how we treat food and how we eat is a reflection of how we see ourselves. So much of food is that momentary satisfaction for long-term detriment. So if it doesn't make me feel better like 2, 3, 4 days down the road, but it makes me feel better right there in the moment, then I generally am not going to do it, because it's very simple. But that's how children think. They think about the now. They don't think about 3, 4, the 90 days down the road, the 6 months down the road. What is my money going to look like in a year? They don't think about that because they're children. They don't understand the concept of the future. Right.
So the scriptures even say, when I was a child, I thought like a child,
Yeah.
I acted like a child, all these things. But when I became a man, I put away those childish things. And so, like C.T. Cobra said right here, she said, people are dying from simple living. It's failure. Another comment that came is that it's like microwave living. It's like fast and undeveloped. And so
Right.
there's no sound foundation. And those things are correct. And that's why in the evolution of who we are, we need those. So I have minimally 5 mentors in my life at all times, minimally, and the mentors in my life to help me build the foundation of my life. That it's not all about chronological age, but there are different ages. Some of them are older than me, some are much older than me. And in those 5 mentors, these are people that are doing something and it's in alignment with where I'm going and where I'm going to be. And so I have a billionaire a mentor, and I have real talk, and I have some multimillionaire mentors in my life. I have some thousandaire mentors in my life. And some of these are preachers and teachers and other types of people, business people, because my life is composed of those things. Like TD Jakes, I love what he's all about in so many aspects, because he's this mega church preacher, teacher, leader, but also he's this mega business tycoon. He wanted to leave a legacy for his children, and that legacy for his children is in the businesses that he starts. He's got over 300 plus businesses, and a lot of his wealth is coming from the business. And in the business of the church, he sows it back into the community of the church. So I have different mentors in my life to teach me how to do specific types of things, to get a grasp on certain types of things. And I've become, as a result, mentored in some other people's lives and some other leaders' lives as well. The objective is to get me in through my needs, understanding my needs better, understanding my wants, and making sure that my wants don't cripple my expectation on my deliverable, understanding my desires, my passion bucket. I desire to affect change in all people's lives. The Lord said, build me a nation, one person, one family at a time. Make no small plans for me. And so when those things came to me, and I had to learn what that meant. I had to learn how to do that. He said, become the word of God. I ran that by my mentor pastor, Bishop, and he says, you can't become the word of God. I said, this is what God told me to do. This is what I'm going to do. And so I spent hours and hours and hours and hours, literal hours, studying the word of God, praying, worshiping, asking other leaders within the church, how should I pray? What is my worship to look like? Looking at the scriptures, digging into how Jesus lived his life. That's the ultimate mentor of my soul. I'm just simply saying as example, so that in the construct of my infancy, I can grow to young adulthood, and I can move from young adulthood into adulthood. And from adulthood, I can become a senior contributor. So my needs, my wants, my desires, and my expectations can start to come into congruence, and they can start to come into alliance. And when those things start to happen, then I start to realize now I can communicate in my relationship to somebody and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what I want to do. This is how you love me. This is where I'm going. And this is the kind of partner that I need. And then I need some stuff outside of what I just defined that I don't even know I need. Are you that person? And that's where my deliverables start to come together. But minimally, if I have mentors to help me, maximally, I can have an entry into my expectations and my deliverables. Because as a result of my expectations, my deliverables can firmly be formed with room for adjustment. Otherwise, I have to realize that the system that I'm living in, which is designed to fail, is going to allow for trouble to come into my life, where I'm going to need somebody to help me through, and I need to embrace the trouble and not suck on synthetic breast milk, that being AI all the way, right? Or eat synthetic foods, just like you just finished talking about a few minutes ago, health as well. I got to get myself away from synthetic foods. I've got to get myself away from the synthetic breast milk of AI, where I get binged out on watching some stuff. But if I can find something that's good, that's edifying, that can help me grow, then so be it. I've got to get off of the synthetic of traveling back in the reincarnation of my old emotions, my old mindset, and put on my new sleeve, my new body, intertwined in the roots and the new consciousness of where I'm going. And so that way I can pay my bills, right? Without the microchip implant, I can pay my bills without the mark of the beast. I can wake up, I can check out of the AI motel and hotel where my soul, where everyone's soul is being guided right now. I can leave that space, I can leave that place, and I can go back to some things that do produce fruit and produce wealth for my life, which is prayer, which is worship, which is thanksgiving, which is taking time to sit at the feet of people that are doing it and getting it done. Because the human encounter, I'm going to tell you something. If you just stick with AI and stay in that hotel motel AI, it doesn't tell you what the feeling is like when you're going through. It can't express that. It can only give you data. And this is where America and the world is failing. We're just relying purely on data. There's a feeling that goes behind that. There's a trauma, there's a push, there's a press that flows behind these things, the decisions that you're making, and the traumatic experience for some that it creates, the struggle for all that it creates. And if you don't speak to another human being that has gone through this and they can tell you, you can see the inflection and understand the drive and then ask them questions past just the data point, you'll never learn how to entirely beat this system that's designed to fail. It is not designed to just give you everything. It's designed for you to find it and mind it and build it and then exploit it and grow thereby and teach it to other people.
Yeah, so the system really, I'm gonna replace the system with certain things. We mentioned it earlier. The system is public schooling. Not bad. Like school in general is good, but it's not a recipe for above and beyond success. It's not a recipe for unlocking, untapping, and like untethering and uncovering the savage will inside of you, the divine innate abilities and capabilities in your DNA.
That's
Like
right.
the masses is another form of the system. Following what the masses do and not thinking for yourself is part of this the system, the matrix. Um, Cognitive dissonance is another form of the system. Not understanding why you do what you do and tying it to your morals and beliefs. Having actions that don't correlate with your thoughts, feelings, and motivations.
That's right.
Like basically doing the things you say you don't want to do for the temporary, momentary pleasure. That's the system, is thinking like a child, acting like a child, doing as a child. That's the system. We have to evolve beyond the five senses. The five senses are the system, right? Animals are entrapped by the five senses, right?
Yep.
Every single time I throw a tennis ball, one of our dogs will chase it. It's an automatic given thing. It's programmed to do that. Humans, we're like one of the only species that can learn beyond the five senses, which is great because that's why I believe we're here. We're here to develop higher ways of truth, higher ways of thinking, higher ways of learning. If we were just tied to the flesh, then we'd be no different than a dog, basically. Yeah. An animal. So kind of a little rant on the health part is, in my opinion, there is no quicker way or no more essential way to unlock like your brain and untether from the system than to eat a natural ancestral based diet. 90% of the foods that are in the supermarket did not exist 100 years ago, and we today are facing issues that humanity has never faced.
Eating
right?
lettuce that doesn't wilt or wither. There's synthetic food out there. There are companies that I don't want to name so we don't get in trouble and get kicked off again off our podcast because we're telling the truth and the world can't handle the truth. But there are companies out there that have synthetic chicken meat. There are companies out there that have synthetic quote unquote burgers, and
Yeah.
we're just ingesting it because we're not paying attention. I think in part where you're evolving into taking enough time to study about what's important in my health and
Right.
where can I get these good foods, especially if there happens to be a desert, so to speak, for finding nutritional foods. And if I have a desert because of the community that I live in and they don't supply me with foods that give me the nutrients for my body to really help and heal me, then I have to find supplements and I have to be diligent about finding the right supplements to add to this meal based program. Otherwise, I'm still going to lack some things that are necessary for my cognitive development, that are necessary for my emotional stability, that are necessary for hydrating me so I don't pass out in the midst of some basic things that I'm doing. George, get back on that thing, man. This thing is hot, man. This is
Yeah,
hot.
so I would say there's just a lot of issues with today's medical system and nutritional system that will kind of fool us into thinking we're the most advanced, we're the most developed society, but in a lot of ways we're going very backwards at a downward 45-degree angle on the side of a mountain cliff. you know? So it's just like the age for colonoscopies for men is slowly creeping younger and younger. It used to be like 55. Now it's like 50, or and then it went to 50. Now it's 40.
Yeah.
Like to get a colonoscopy for colon cancer, like awareness, like now we just hear early testing is the way to go. You watch an NFL game, you see the ad saying,
Yeah.
the best way to prevent cancer is early detection. Bull. The best way to prevent cancer is to have an ancestral, natural-based diet and not put fake artificial.
What does that diet look like, man? Hit me up. Tell us what that diet looks like.
So, and it's not just about physical health too, because making room and taking care of the physical body makes room for spiritual truths to enter. It makes room for light to flow through your body. There's more truths to that, but like we are light beings, like our bones are literally semiconductors. So we have to eat electric foods that stimulate that system. A lot of fruit, a lot of they'll tell you red meat is bad for you, but it's good for you. And the list of foods that they just recently came out, it was one of the government heads of like the health in the United States. It had like Cheerios at the very top of the list. Like God didn't put Cheerios on this planet, we did, right? So why would Cheerios be the heart healthiest food on the planet? Like, so it's just got to be tapped into some of those things. We'll probably do another episode on just kind of like what foods are for sure no's, what foods are okay for some people because we're all a little bit different, and then what foods are like absolutely yes, you should be eating as much of that as possible and getting your nutrition from that. The major one you got to stay away from is seed oils. If it's not avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, don't eat it. Canola oil, terrible for you. It's in pesticides. Like it used to be used as machine lubricant. It doesn't go through the body. Your body is like a system of pipes and tunnels. So it's very, very strategic.
You said you was a medical student. Go ahead, finish that.
Yeah. So I studied pre-med. I got accepted to medical school in Seattle or just north of there. Decided not to go because I realized that our medical system is very reactionary. It's not preventative. So I wanted to be part of a system in a company or an organization that was geared towards optimizing, not reacting when things hit the fan, so to speak. I think a lot of our system is designed to treat symptoms and not actual root cause issues. And that's why we've gone dramatically wrong at the downward 45-degree angle on the side of a mountain. So it's upon us, and this is where the system's designed to fail you. If you just listen to your primary care physician, your MD, your run-of-the-mill doctor, he's not going to tell you how to take care and optimize your body because MDs only have one semester credit of nutrition. These are supposed to be the health professionals that lead our Western world. But they don't study dieting.
Our Western world. I'm so glad you said it like that because that's not all doctors.
It's not all doctors. And I think a lot of people are turning back to some Eastern philosophies, some 100%. Eastern ways. Like fasting, the fact that doctors don't know, MDs is what I speak of, allopathic MDs don't know about fasting, it just absolutely blows my mind. Within 72 hours of fasting, and most people can't even do that. They think that's absurd, which it is very hard to disconnect from the eating 3 to 5 meals a day. We're in this constant like feeding tube of life, right? And then so when you put the body on pause from eating, the body has so much more energy to clean and cleanse and remove waste.
Yep.
Within 24 to 48 hours of not eating, like water only, and there's other things you can put in the body to maintain what they call autophagy, which is the cleaning out old cells, cleaning out waste on the cellular level. You know, the body starts to clean itself. The body is a self-regulating organism, and that's the lie of the system, is that we need something else, right? But in my opinion, we are gifted innately with the divine like intelligence of the universe from God, right? So why does that not apply to health and wellness, right?
Because it doesn't make enough money. Sickness, disease, mental illness, most profitable businesses in the world. And that's why this AI drive is so imperative. AI was supposed to be a tool, not a parent. Now what we've developed is a Westworld type reality created by rich people who have lost contact with God. So they want to play God and they want to provide remedies and reliefs that they deem necessary to continue to line their pockets, i.e. Cheerios at the top of the food list. That's stupid. That's masterminding at its best, right? So they want to save us from what's true and what's healthy and what's right to make us suck from the breast of AI and our infancy and from the boob of television to bring us back to a true apple in the garden experience that's going to mess us up and keep us packed with waste and stuff that is decaying on the inside of us, crippling our ability to think correctly, stifling our ability to move with energy in the direction that we should flow in, that will enable us to be useful to our own dreams and to our own visions. And so we've got to do, like George says, I'm a firm believer in fasting, fast as well as pray. Unlock the box, use the key, your soul, wake up. You have the answer to the question, but you've got to be able to take what's offered. Let me give you a couple of things. I'm going to call it reality check, but I'm going to give you a couple of things right here that I want you to tuck away. Listen, definiteness of purpose. 17 principles of success that was written by the late, great Napoleon Hill. One of them was definiteness of purpose. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. You got to know what you want, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Definiteness of purpose. Mastermind alliance. Listen, the mastermind principle consists of an alliance of two or more minds working in perfect harmony for the attainment of a common, definite objective. We identified multiple things in this broadcast alone, and we've been dovetailing for the last couple of minutes just on health as well, and what to put in and what not. So we got to work together on that. And that brings me to the next place, which is teamwork. Teamwork is the willing cooperation and coordination of effort to achieve a common goal. Teamwork is sharing a part of what you have, a part that is good, with others. And so this guy's got this base from going to school for medicine to learn, and he's brought us a munchable that relates back to the scriptures and doing a 72-hour fast to cleanse, right? And like CT is out there saying to break us away from this robotic binge, right? And eating robotic food, and that goes back to the synthetic lock that's on our brains, that's on our bodies, and the craving for this synthetic garbage. We got to unlock that stuff, get it out of there so that we can get back to maintenance. Here's the next one: maintenance of sound health. Follow work with play, mental effort with physical, with the physical, eating with fasting, seriousness with humor, and you will be on the road to a sound and healthy happiness. These are things that we have to bring back
into our world and not fill our world up with more AI, with more technology, with more stuff to look at, constantly bowing down at this God phone to see what it wants to tell us next, constantly ministering to this TikTok world or another social media platform, constantly ministering to that, when we need to be actualizing, writing down on paper, praying about where we're going, developing a plan that works for us based on a vision that's in our heart, based on our needs, wants, desires, expectations, and the deliverables that's necessary, based on forming, storming, knowing, performing, and transforming, and those principles being identified, and we identifying them and having our mastermind alliance help us unlock these things. Let me just give you this as a reality check. Peace is an illusion in this AI construct. Peace is an illusion in this AI construct. This is what everybody's driving at. It's just an illusion against how tranquil the world appears to be. Peace is a struggle against our sleeve. Peace is a struggle against our skin. Peace is a struggle against our avatar, and it's at war. Our souls are taking a tremendous pounding right now. People are experiencing violence within their own skin. We've got to wake up. Don't just walk into the concentration camps without a fight. Don't accept fear of what will it be to me if I stand up against it being IT, AI, and those types of things. Stop. Man, sister, fall in the garden. War is all we know until the confrontation, the revelation, and the resulting revolution, the revolt that needs to happen in your souls and in your minds. Unhinge, unlock, untether, break away. How do I do it? The answer is offered to you. Take what's offered. Go ahead and fast for 3 days. No eat, no drink, no nothing. Let your body let the temple of the Holy Spirit, let it revive itself. Physician, heal yourself. Let it go to work on you so that you stop falling in the garden, so you stop warring against good stuff that can help your soul, so that you can start a revolution within your own soul and be guided by true truth, by the Creator, and you'll stop reincarnating bad stuff that relates back to your old childish sleeve, your old avatar, your old skin, and everything that it needed. And then you can absolutely fill your new wineskins with new stuff that just won't explode and blow up. We can operate in the image and likeness of God with wisdom, with knowledge, with understanding, with perfect discernment, with forgiving, with loving, with accepting, with a revolution that has to take place. We have to initiate, enabling us to be fruitful, multiply, increase, subdue, and take dominion. We can move omnidirectionally. We can be omnipotent in what we accomplish. We can be omniscient because we study to show ourselves approved. We can be omnificent. We can do creative stuff. We can be omnipresent. Right now, we're omnipresent. Some of you people that are watching right now, you're in other states, other countries around the world. We can do all these things without violating laws like it has. It has played God in your life. You have to get a hold of it because this system is designed to fail. And when it fails and crashes, it's going to be another money scheme. It's going to be another greed push. It's going to be another power play. And only the strong, the witty, those that put forth effort now are going to have a leg, a home, and a family to rely upon. Everyone else enslaved, robotic, locked down, locked in. Wake up. The system is designed to fail. You're not the system. You create the systems. You validate the systems. Stop letting systems and data points, codex, validate you. George.
Yeah, I think the important thing is just waking up. I have this quote. I feel like I coined it, but if somebody else said it, maybe so. Maybe it's just coming from something I heard. But you ever just look up in life and like just in a situation in a day and just realize no one else is really looking up? You know, if I go to the beach a lot, I go to the gym. Sitting in the sauna is one where it's like a very meditative thing for me. You know, I just like to be alone with my thoughts. I don't listen to music generally. I don't look on my phone when I'm in the sauna, because it's kind of like a process of removing waste, removing bad like ways of thought. I'm really conscious of the music I listen to. It's interesting how we accept certain ideas and say certain things that we would never say or think unless it's with a rhythm. I think that there's a process of that bypassing into the subconscious. Like it just hits on a deeper level. That's why really, really good songs, that's why they're so passionate. That's why it gives you chills. That's why it's in the moment. And you're like playing the music at the football game or something like that. Like when the band's playing, you're like down by 3, you're driving the ball, like those sorts of things give you chills. And like music is really important and beneficial in certain regards. But our music nowadays is just very, very, again, downward 45-degree angle. So
Right.
that awakening process is like, you just ever look up and people are just like in a trance. My dad used to call the TV the trance machine,
That's it.
which it's just so is. Like we all watch TV, we've all binge watched something, and we just like our brain just doesn't function as well at the end of it, right?
Mine
So
is like
we're just like in this, oh, what do I do now with my Sunday? I'll just lay here in the lazy boy, right? But as opposed to like reading a book, you have to turn your brain on. Like reading 5 minutes a day. There was like some, but even just at the 5-minute mark, there was a study that showed the improvements in like neurodegeneration. Like your brain doesn't slow down as rapidly, and you actually improve function just at the 5-minute mark. I'm just loosely quoting these things, but I'll have to come more prepared next time. But
listen, go ahead, George. Finish that piece.
yeah, it's just about awakening. Like learning to critically think is the first way to say, hey, I want this in my life. I don't want this in my life. Why do I want it? Am I the person that's going to go out and do these things to become this person, set these goals? Like, why do I want to become like, you know, you and I talk to people all the time interested in health and wellness. Like, why do you want to become a health coach? Right. And people just say they want to help people. Right. So, but why do you want to help people this way? I can help people by shoveling poop out of their front yard, but like that sucks. Right. Like, I don't want to help people that way. I want to help people untap, unhinge, become the savage will thinker and doer, like able to go out and accomplish their goals, like able to be self-reliant, able to start their own business, like be their own boss, set their own schedule. Like that's that autonomy we're talking about. That's the system you create for yourself. And I think that's what we have to get into is we got to stop following the system that's in place. They go to college, get a good job, you know, get a degree, you'll get a good job, put your money in your 401k. That system is gone. That's dead. Right? So that's not leading us to success anymore, right? So that system has failed already. If you're putting your money in a 401k, learn about what the returns are you're getting back on that, and then what returns you could be getting elsewhere, right?
Yep.
Learn about assets and liabilities.
Stop biting that apple. Stop biting that old apple. Your Garden of Eden has changed.
Right.
Everything about it. But I want to say this, there are no enemies that can defeat us. I want to really get that out there. And the reason for saying that, the only one which can defeat us is fear. And that fear happens to be something we manufacture. I want to tell you this. Don't make your monsters bigger than they are. Make your fears fear you. Your struggles, especially the toughest ones, are given to make you stand up and fight your fears, conquer your worries, discipline your laziness, and bring fiery faith and hope to crush your depression, oppression, and outdated self-worth sleeves. Listen, we've got to change the game. And when we start fighting and firing at fear and no longer at nothing, when we start fighting to the death for our faith, when we start realizing that fear is a lie, false evidence appearing real, when we look at fear and we realize that F is for frightened about data, E is for evolving in a system of hatred, A is absolutely traumatized to accept freedom. R is realizing you're living in a strong system of lies. Fear, when you start to realize that fear is the greatest controller of your life, you'll fight the power and you'll fight the system. You'll abandon fear. You'll fight its impulses. You'll discipline your turnaround with a strategy which includes faith, hope, love, and forgiveness, because you got to forgive yourself and forgive others. With these, the greatest of these is going to be love. But you got to change your sleeve, man. You got to change your sleeve. And the goal is to be empowered so that while we play in this imagined system of AI, we can become more powerful. So that after we renounce this affront on our soul, this affront on our time, this affront on our creativity, we'll have courageous faith to overcome the system and annihilate the struggles as they arrive. Then faith becomes the substance of things hoped for. Substance of things hoped for. Sometimes belief is not about what we can see, but it's about what we can do, what we can plan, what we can accomplish, what we can restructure. I mean, everything that we just dropped in this hour is all about you taking back control and you giving a 90 piece to fear and then weaving and slipping, because it's going to counter. And when it counters, you got to know, you got to anticipate that move. The kingdom suffers violence and the violent take it by force. You've got to rise up in your consciousness and attack your fear, because your fear produces your famine, and your famine produces fake beliefs and fake gods. And you get locked in on all of that. And before you know it, you're nothing. And you're jealous about people who are something. And you start opinionizing on people who are breaking free because you chose to allow the electronic world to identify you, chip you, tell you who you are and what you're all about and what you should eat, instead of you learning for yourself. Because there's still evidence in the world. Like George said, read 5 minutes. Now, the reason why I said 15 is because a good friend of mine said, read 15 minutes a day. You can finish a 200-page book in a month at 15-minute read, even if you're a slow reader. But the cognitive data that he just pointed out, I read 5, add 5 minutes, just do 5. Stop being a wannabe and perish. Start taking control over your life. Introduce hope so you can survive. Introduce faith so you can support. Introduce faith and hope so you can suppose. Suppose what? Suppose if I do, I can succeed. How about that? How about them apples?
Yeah. And I think you got me started on the health and wellness, because like there's so much imagery of the system in our Western medical and nutritional health and diet system, right? Like the food pyramid is not a pathway to optimizing health, as much as, you know, your Western primary medical physicians or primary care docs would say, but it's just not what we see from the data. The Andrew Huberman out of Stanford has a lot of great data. There's another guy named Paul Saladino, and he was an MD, a PA, and now he spends his life giving nutritional advice. So we'll probably do an episode or some more, get out some more information on some people that I've just found and that really feel like are on the path to optimizing health. And again, like Robbie said, fast for 3 days, but like do some research, like figure out if you can even last 24 hours, like push yourself beyond your limits that you already have in place right now, just a little bit. And that's what we would call the zone of proximal development. Like don't hit a home run if you can't hit off a tee yet, right? So it's all about tapping in or getting an accurate assessment of where you are, not getting down on yourself, like you said, just mad at everyone else that's unlocking, untapping, unhinging, like. And then just do the inner work, do your personal work, have the tunnel vision in that regard of not like expecting the billions before the hundreds of thousands, right? Because
for the next year or two, so you can be comfortable for the remainder of your time. Old business principle.
Exactly.
Learn how to do that, man.
So, and then one of the primary examples of how the system and momentary relief is at a detriment to long-term optimization is the way NSAIDs work. your Tylenol, your acetaminophen, your ibuprofen, those things. And real quickly, just to say how they're detrimental to the body is not only does the kidneys have to filter out what's toxic in them in the tablets, but also you're interrupting the body's natural inflammatory process. You're not addressing the reason why it's inflamed to begin with. The reason why it's inflamed to begin with is because you're not exercising, you're living in an artificial lit environment. You're not getting enough sunlight, you're not grounded when you sleep or during the day. You're not eating a electron rich diet, an ancestral based diet, and you're eating starchy, unnatural, artificial foods. And that's almost every American, right? And then it's the white sugar also. So that's just a very slow snapshot of you're interrupting the inflammatory process when your body needs to undergo that anyways. It's just that temporary, momentary pain is just too much to deal with because you've spent 30, 40 years of abusing your body. And it's just now built up because your body's so resilient that when you were 20, 25, it didn't hurt. But you were still doing things that were detrimental to your body. It's just that 35, 40, 45, 50 that you're really experiencing the pain, because there are 45 and 50-year-olds that don't experience pain, like physical pain, like most people, their back hurts, they can't exercise, they can't run sprints, right? Like the healthiest thing you can do is run a sprint, but most people can't even get to that point. So I wouldn't recommend a 3-day fast if you can't go a day without food, right? I would say do a day of just like fruit, limit your diet. Do a day of just greens. Do a day of just, smoothies, like a solid food vacation is what some people call it. So it's all about establishing the baseline of where you're at now, where you want to go, and how do you gradually push yourself past your limit to escape the system that you've built for yourself. The system is the unconscious mind being limited, right? And we have to tap into the growth mindset of pushing past that boundary and really stepping into the life that I feel we're here to experience and here to build on this planet.
Optimal. Savage Will is giving you the details about deceptions. Not all, and we're not the only platform doing that, but I believe that we're here, like so many other platforms, to help give us details about these deceptions that cripple us, that hold us bound, that keep us in the mainframe of a matrix that doesn't work anymore. And it looks like it's winning because we've been so used to it and we've been so locked into it. And we found the Neo that they've introduced to us to be the answer. I still find the answer to be Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And so when I disconnect and begin the disconnect process with this matrix, I know I don't have to keep sleeve jumping. I don't have to try to shape shift. I don't have to get into this great weirdness about how I'm going to live the dream and break out of the fabric of misunderstanding and ignorance that's been perpetrated over my life for years. I know that there is a process, and I will enjoy the process and the way of getting all of that out of my life. And if you start with one step, that one step will lead to the next step, and that next step to the next step. Hey, eventually you're going to have maintenance of sound health. Eventually, you're going to have maintenance of a sound mental construct, of a plan that's going to guide you into victorious areas of living for your life. Listen, we'll be able to break away. Hang on, I got my little girl. We'll be able to break away. That's my puppy, guys. We'll be able to break away from the ancient gods of money and greed and power and image and ability and the perversions that go along with that. And we'll be able to break into our godlike structure we've already been made after, being able to become fruitful, multiply, increase, subdue, take dominion. If we were told we can do those things, we should take those 5 principles into everything that we do, break them down, study them out so that they mean what they need to for you. Apply them to every aspect of your life, bar none. And then start to walk out a master plan. Take the personal initiative to make that happen. Have controlled attention to the detail and the actions that are necessary that's going to bring you there. Make sure you go the extra mile when you start to get weary and you want to give up. Make sure you apply your faith so that you can get to where you got to go. Ensure that you have a mastermind alliance. No one can do it alone. Everyone needs someone. But when you go to that someone that you need, make sure there's a definiteness, a purpose that you're bringing to them. You have a vision that you've created. You have a mission that you believe up until the time of your encounter with them may work. You have goals that align with the mission and the vision that you've planned out for your life. And then you've got to show that you have some enthusiasm about what it is you're trying to do and where you're trying to achieve this and the why behind it. And then, like I told my son last night, make them feel you. You understand? Because when you can make somebody feel where you're going without being overly dramatic, when you can make somebody feel what you're all about, because you have clarity of purpose, because you know beyond a shadow of a doubt of what you're here for, you've started to unlock those things. You're starting to move in that direction. Man, there's nothing like talking to a person who is operating inside of that place. People can feel that. That resonates, that makes other people want to be a part of what you're doing and want to listen to what you're talking about. And as a consequence, they start to move out of their stuck stuff and they start to realize some of the greatest things that they thought they would never have start to happen in their lives. This is the purpose. This is why Savage Will came to pass. Sitting and thinking about all these different things that everybody said couldn't be. Robbie, you're going to be in jail at such and such a place, or you'll be dead at such and such an age, and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, why? What kind of place is this that sets you up for failure and you don't even have a chance? And finding the why gives birth to the reason. And in giving birth to the reason, then that says, wait a minute. Somebody's been told they can't. Somebody has been told they won't. Somebody's been told all our lives, don't. You can say, nope, my time. I'm getting ready to change this narrative right now. I can do all things. I can turn my impossibilities into possibilities. I may have to change my community of thought. I have to govern this community. I have to govern this kingdom, my mind. I have to govern my heart. I have to make sure I'm not living in a world that's governed by 3 words, I feel like, but it's governed by all the things that are necessary to get me where I need to go so that I can become what it is that's in my vision and in my dream to become. And I'll be given all the tools. And the people that need to come into my life, they will come into my life and they will give me ideas to help me get to where I want to go, because they're going to believe, because when I speak, I'm going to be speaking from a place that I'm convinced of. I'm not trying to convince. I'm already convinced of. I don't have to sell you anything about who I am. I don't have to sell you anything about Savage Will. I believe I'm walking Savage Will. This is my life. This is my life. And this has been my life. And everyone that knows me is like, Robbie's always been trying to help people unlock, unhinge, get untapped. This is my life. This is part of my purpose. This part of my blueprint. This part of George's blueprint. You understand? That's why I connected with this dude. When I saw him, I'm like, I'm going to talk to this cat right here. Because we connect. I saw him connecting on a different place. He wasn't saying it directly, but I saw the connection. I said, this is Savage Will. We bring a savage understanding. This is about the breakout, baby. This is about the rebellion against failure. This is about the rebellion against fear. This is about the rebellion against famine over everything that deals with your life. This is about getting with it and making a difference.
Yeah, I love it. It's just to kind of wrap this up, Tom, I don't know how his last name's pronounced, but Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu has a good podcast that I generally try to catch every now and then, but he has this fascination with The Matrix, the movie. So we all know, like, The Matrix, has so many like life parallels. but one of them that really hits different is it's an accurate representation of the human condition. Neo isn't the one until he believes he's the one. And once he believes he's the one, it doesn't matter if he was the one to begin with. It's just now he can execute as the one. Now he holds the power to act as the one. And to correlate it to kind of the spiritual component is once we believe our power given to us by God through Christ's coming, and that's and what is entailed in that, then we can step into being the one in our lives. Like we are the main character here we're not the main character in everyone's story. We're the main character in our story. We have to act as though we are the main character and we have priority. We have to prioritize ourselves, our goals, our mission here on the planet to be the one, right? To achieve the one kind of results, the savage will results in life. So once we realize that we hold the power, that's the first step. Is, Christ says, once you believe, then believe you can achieve, right? That's so simple. It's, beaten up all over. But like that is the essence of taking control of the power that we've been given, is believing that we have the power to begin with. Right?
I can, I will, so I am.
Exactly. So like Will Smith kind of repopularized the quote by Confucius is, those that say they can and those that say they can't are both usually right. It's just a matter of deciding. If you just decide who you are and who you want to be and what you want to do, that's where people struggle. But so I just want to leave you guys with that. We really appreciate anyone listening today. Saw some people coming in and out, and I hope this is an inspiration. I hope we're helping everyone that is listening to untap, unwind, untether, unhinge, and go out and achieve the results they're after in life and develop into the person that we feel and you feel you're designed to be.
Savage Will, you guys are amazing. Thank you for joining. We out. George, love you, man. Good stuff. Another great episode, baby.
Y'all take care. We'll see you next week, next Saturday at 11:11 on the East Coast.
Here we go.